kind of a response to Carpo's video about how do you tell if people are lying, and even if they don't know they're lying. And I guess I've gotten to a point where I'm not bothered by the lies, deliberate or otherwise. I don't think all lies are bad. If we assume immediately that people are lying and take away the negative connotation of it, that people are story making, that people are creating different fictions, different made things, different metaphors to describe reality, qualitative metaphors, quantitative metaphors. Of course, like math or logic would be to a large degree, quantitative metaphors, where poetry would be qualitative. But of course, the truly great poets and truly great mathematicians, they have a foot in each, and that applies to all creative endeavors. But I don't think that lies are always bad. Sometimes truths are not always good. Sometimes the truth can hurt us. Sometimes a lie, incomplete truth, misrepresentation, which to a degree all representations are. But it's hard. If there were a truth, the truth, whatever it is that everybody's seeking, or everybody involved in this subject matter, like whatever it is we're seeking, if it could be stated, it would have. If it could have been stated simply, if it was a simple thing, it would have been. Now, that's not to say there are not magnificent truths that are stated, magnificent representations of the truth, which I've yet to understand, that are increasingly exacting. But of course, a thing cannot represent itself. The only perfect, full representation of a thing would be a replica of the thing. But if it was an exact replica of the thing, it would cease to be a representation of the thing and would be the thing in itself. So I know that that's going pretty far away, but I guess I wanted to, in some aspect, define the limit of truth-lie boundary, the absolute limit, which I haven't defined. I've just alluded to or implied. The problem comes in is when we take metaphors for real beyond the scope of their purview. Like, I think it was Wittgenstein who said somewhere, like, the spatial picture can represent everything spatial. I can't remember the other, but he goes through any picture, represents a certain, I guess, cross section of reality. But when we take a story, a fiction, an expression that does represent one particular simulated thought form pointing toward the truth, and we misrepresent it and apply it to a different bounded thought form of the truth, then it becomes a lie. For instance, if I were to say Pinocchio is the story of a boy, true or false? Well, he becomes a boy, but he's a puppet. I mean, it's blatantly false to just state that as the truth. If I say Pinocchio is a boy who becomes a puppet, I think this is where people would come in. I think this is where we make mistakes. Because we would say, oh, that's true. But that's not true, of course. Pinocchio is the story of a puppet who becomes a boy. That's true. So, we mistake one truth for another, thus we have a lie. And even in the lies, like, a lie can never be separate from the truth. Nothing cannot exist. So a lie exists as a lie exists. And it is connected with the truth, like an anchor, you know, like the truth would be like a globe, and lies might be satellites, or lies might be, you know, spheres intersecting with the earth or the globe. Like, there's a globe of truth, and all the lies come off of it, and the thought shapes. Any thought shape has to be both in the globe and outside the globe. No thought shape can be perfectly true. No thought shape can be perfectly false. They have to partake in each. They have to partake in each. It's just a matter of how much of each. The perfect representation, without being the thing, you know, would be a thought shape that encompasses the globe with a thin line of the lie around it, like just a thin ozone layer atmosphere. And then, of course, the worst thought shape would be the entire, you know, we have a globe, and then say that globe just sits in the middle of an empty space universe, and all of that is the lie. And then that thought shape would be, you know, this growing infinity of the lie stretching outward with a thin perimeter of truth connected to the globe. You know, but all of our thought shapes exist somewhere in between there. So anyway, I guess I got off in the weeds a little bit. But anyway, I think one of the things about the lie, and there's a lot, I mean, there's so much information out there. How do you sift through it? I just remain skeptical, but let it all in. And talked about this before in a video that I've yet to post, but you know, I think the idea of skepticism isn't to disbelieve everything, it's to allow for the belief of anything, because we don't know. So you don't believe anything, but you don't not believe anything either. And I myself, you know, I'm at the point of I think, therefore I am, and I'm little beyond that, except for my life has meaning. But then even that can be questioned by the extreme end of the lie. For instance, in the Bible, when God states the name I am. So, is to say, I think, therefore I am, Grimoria, making me believe that my I amness is predicated by my thinkingness? So, might it be more correct to say I am? I mean, you know, clearly I am. It's like, I understand that it's meant to be a logical argument, but when you say it to yourself, does it slip into the subconscious? I don't know. I am, except of course I am not, because I don't know. I've yet to reach that place of knowing. I have inclinations. I'm drawn toward, you know, I'm magnetized toward certain things. I'm on a path. The exact nature of it, I don't know. But I've given up being fearful that I'm on the wrong path, that I'm following the devil. And I've given up being, you know, whatever part of that, like, messianic complex people get when they see, you know, synchronicities, correspondences, mystical or mystic resemblances. You know, I don't mind if a lot of the connections I make are wrong. I don't mind if I'm one of Umberto Eco's diabolicals, you know, lost in a sea of analogies and where everything begins to resemble everything else. That doesn't bother me because I don't believe it's all true. I believe a lot of it's true, and I believe where I make mistakes and where I'm lying, it's play, it's practice. Mammals spend 80% of their time playing. Is playing a lie? You know, kids who play with Tonka trucks, they grow up and, you know, engage in jobs where they drive trucks. Kids who play with blocks might be architects. Kids who draw might be painters or graphic designers or, you know, so on and so forth. So playing is an inherent part of learning, and just because it's a play, it's a drama, it's a comedy, it's a make-believe, you know, and even that word we call make-believe. But you do, when you play, you make yourself believe. You create an expectation and fulfill it. So anyway, I guess what I'm getting at there is that, like, you know, one of the interesting concepts out there is that you know, and Will Rogers says it really well, how, you know, the big trick of the devil, and not necessarily as a persona, but as a willing disposition, is to have made a perfect material copy of the spiritual reality. So, in some sense, like a complete mastery of material reality is the trick, and it can lead to a forfeiture of, you know, the spiritual wholeness. Forgive my terminology. I'm not an exacting person, and I'm a very novice student, so there's a lot of words I get wrong. Whoops. My thought shape is cloudy, you know, but it's taking form, I hope. But irregardless, they are intimately entwined. And it does seem to me that the closer you get to the lie, the big lie, the perfect lie, the closer you get to the center of the perfect lie, the closer you get to the truth. The closer you get to the truth, the closer you get to the lie. The closer you get to the lie, the closer you get to the truth. And I don't think, you know, there's only one moment when we really have to make up our mind, right? Like, presumably, you know, like, we think about things and then we're presented with real-world choices, and we either live up to our principles or we don't. I remember when I was younger, I heard Cornel West speak, and a couple of things he said really stuck out with me, and one of them, and I'm sure that I'm completely misrepresenting this quote. I have searched for it. I've called the school I was at to see. This was back in, you know, the 90s, late 90s. Called the library, called the media center, called everybody I could think of to try to get, if they had taped this, which they should have, a copy of it, you know, which should be on file. They should have front and center. But anyway, my memory of it, but I might be piecing together a bunch of weird different things, so, but it's really the message, I guess, that's important anyway. But I believe toward the end of his speech, he said something along the lines where he was, I think, quoting Malcolm X, quoting Socrates, and it was something along the lines of, you know, one of the marks of wisdom or whatever, you know, knowledge, something, is to understand two opposing beliefs, two opposing views and believe them both, to understand two opposing positions and believe them both. Which, of course, if we believe one or the other, then it negates them. They negate each other, so to believe and disbelieve both. And that's affected me over time, and more so lately. Sometimes it can be overwhelming because you just begin not to know, you begin to question the reality of everything, and sometimes that's pretty tiresome, and it's like, I just, I have to do my job. Like, I gotta go to work today. So that can be difficult, but sometimes when that happens, there are, like, I need to do my laundry sometimes, because if I were to wear the same clothes every day, this would be problematic. So, maybe I make my life better right now by putting this aside, not obsessing, and doing the things that I know. Maybe I can transcend this physical reality, but I'm not there yet. So make sure I'm drinking enough water instead of just sitting in my chair thinking for 3 hours. Make sure I'm getting some nutrients, or make sure that I'm doing what I think I need to do to maintain the physical aspect of my life. Hopefully I'm still recording. Charles Peirce, there's some quote, something along the lines of, what is it? If materialism without idealism is blind, idealism without materialism is void. Like, we do exist in these two planes. And another great thing he said, I think in like something like kind of famous essay, like How We Make Our Ideas Clear, or something like that. He has a picture of a triangle made of dots, and one's one way and one's like kind of flipped around. So it's two pictures of the same thing, but they have a different orientation. And he says, these are not different things. Basically, he presents an argument saying that, like, we call things different that aren't different. They're just in different orientations. And I think sometimes that's what lies are. You could have two stories that seem different, but they're a semantic expression. They're like a linear thought, linear words, which are just the lines outlining the same form. You could do a portrait of someone as a line drawing. You could do a portrait of someone as a, smeared, almost abstract expressionist painting. So anyway, I guess that was a lot of tangents, but hopefully I appropriately danced around the topic of lying, and I'm just not concerned with it. I'm concerned with the ideas and the thoughts. I'm concerned with the feelings I have, and I'm concerned with what I hear and how it influences me to make my life better, and to help me become more principled. Because in the end, as we become more foundationally principled, like, a lot of the things in the material world just work themselves out. That's it. Thanks.